So, for those of you who do not know yet, the European Union met with General Salim Saleh, who happens to be Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's younger brother in Gulu. The delegation of the European Union, after meeting with the Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and the leadership of the National Unity Platform, they went over to meet up with the General Salim Saleh, which is such a confusing scenario. So much happened in that meeting. People literally become so confused that why does this government keep getting so much Western support, despite the fact that they fall short in so many ways, especially when it comes to the human rights. So they met up and so much happened. I was confused at why this dialogue had to have the likes of Andrew Mwenda speaking his heart out with such audacity, and the way he was addressing these Western envoys. It felt like he might as well already be the government press secretary in that regard. But I digress. I will just really stick to the events as they unfolded. The German ambassador confronted General Saleh and by asking him about the gross human rights abuses. He went further by outlining the behavior of the first son and the commander of the armed forces, and asked him, why is it normal for somebody of his kind, especially with the sort of office that he sits in as the CDF, the commander of the armed forces, why is it so normal that he behaves in such an inflammatory way with all the tweets that he shares on social media, threatening to behead Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, arrest and unalive Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, aka Bobby Wine, the president of the National Unity Platform, and of course following through with all the threats that if we find you wearing red and all those berets that you wear out in support of the National Unity Platform, you are going to face it rough. He follows through with these threats, abducted Eddie Mutwe. This dude went further in posting about what they were literally doing to Eddie Mutwe in real time, cutting off his beards. That story, if you want to watch that video, I gave a breakdown of that video already. So thank you so much for tuning in, clicking on this video. This is the Uganda Awakening. I am highlighting Ugandans waking up in real time and the high cost that they have to face or they have to pay just because they have suddenly become so interested in the affairs of their country. And they are concerned about the direction we are taking, especially if it includes installing Mohozi Kainerugaba as the next president of Uganda, something that is obviously contradicting with what our constitution states. No acting officer of the UPDF should be involved in any way in partisan politics. Unfortunately, Mohozi does not seem to subscribe to the notion that the constitution of any country is sacred, including Uganda, and should not therefore be abused in any way. In fact, Mohozi Kainerugaba, as the commander of the armed forces, is supposed to be defending the constitution. But how can somebody defend a constitution that he is already ripping apart in front of our own eyes? Yeah, that's what's happening. Those events unfolded, and in response, General Saleh I'm going to read you a quote from General Saleh. Saleh, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. These people think we must be stupid. Every Ugandan is stupid. Apparently, General Mohozi in his 50s is a Gen Z. Yeah, he's a Gen Z. You heard it from Mr. Saleh himself. He, Mohozi Kainerugaba, is a new type. He is a Gen Z, I think. That one we have already tried. He even attacked the Human Rights Commission. But it is not a big issue, really, because for him, he is outside us, National Resistance Army, NRA. You know, there was the King's African Rifle. then the Uganda Army, then UNLA, then NRA, which ushered in President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who promised a fundamental change, and not mere change of guards. After our 5-year guerrilla warfare, these people never, ever, ever clarify anything. All over a sudden, when they are faced with controversies, they start giving us history lessons. Now, this man, instead of giving us a straight answer, something that is action-oriented, an answer of like, we do not want to associate with whatever Mohozi is sharing. In fact, he has to be disciplined because he is already diverting away from the primary code of conduct of our UPDF, the armed forces. We do not need all these explanations going back and forth and telling us the history about how UPDF became a national army. This is not what we are talking about. We are talking about action. This man is behaving in a way that is not befitting of anybody that is holding the sort of office that he holds as the commander of the armed forces. And that is something that even a blind person can see. They never answer questions. So what are people responding to this? Gen Z throwing around excuses supporting an alcoholic head of the military. Such a country. Yeah, people are so mad. Is Mohozi untouchable? People are actually worried. This is Ugandans showing how woken up they are. When Uncle says he doesn't know what he will tweet next. Yeah, this is a quoted tweet of Mohozi Kainerugaba. And in this tweet he stated, there is a habitual traitor called Polkol who dared to speak against me the other day. That betrayer of our late big brother, Brigadier Noble Mayombo, will have nowhere to hide. This is in response to what General Saleh said in a multitude of quotes that was, that transpired in that particular meeting, in which he was also unsure. He appeared helpless because he stated specifically, and I quote, that he does not know what Mohozi is going to tweet next. And guess what? This is what he tweeted. It was calling out an individual in that particular meeting of, Saleh meeting the European Union. This is really, really sad. Anyway, I would like to get to the point whereby Mohozi threatens the envoy. This is quite a veiled threat towards the ambassador of Germany. This man, Paul Kabanda, who is a PLU, it's really a front for the NRA that is trying to push the narrative that General Mohozi is the best placed person to become the next president of Uganda. Daudi Kabanda is organizing a protest that will get the so-called supporters, and by this I mean goons that they normally pay German to go and protest at the German embassy on the 5th of June 2025. Mohozi is trying to behave as a smart individual. He uses his local language, Mundu yange. Mundetere Mundu yange. It's like he really is suggesting to someone near him a language that is used when you're in another room. Can you please get me my gun? Which is such a very irresponsible, veiled threat. Mohozi has threatened the lives of so many individuals, mostly local opposition members. He has also even threatened to attack Kenya, Sudan, Congo, and Ethiopia. But threatening the life of a foreign envoy, especially a Western envoy, I think is about to realize how far he has taken these threats. That is the tweet. I will go to what Ugandans are stating in the comments, because my job here is to show you the awakening of Ugandans. And please, while I am getting out these tweets, please like, share, and subscribe. This audience, this community is growing, and I appreciate you so much. Yeah, let's get into the comments. As long as they don't disrupt other activities in town, peaceful demonstration is a constitutional mandate. Grok, interpret. Grok cannot interpret. Someone wants interpretation. Cowardness is reflected from using that language. Yeah, someone is pointing out what I already stated, that he doesn't want to say it in English, so he has used Runyankore. For the foreign envoy, Mohozi has used Runyankore. Why isn't he tweeting in English? If he is confident that he can follow through with these threats against the ambassador of Germany, just like he does when he's threatening Bobby Wine, it is in English. When he threatens Eddie Motwe, it is in English. When he threatens to attack Kenya, it is in English. Why is he tweeting in Runyankore when he's threatening the ambassador of Germany? Yeah, when he's threatening the life of the ambassador of Germany, why is he not tweeting in English? This is what someone is asking in the comments. Wapi, just tweet, bro. It's all you can. Yeah, someone is laughing. It is crazy. We are living in very crazy times. My prayer, regardless of what is happening in Uganda, is that we don't revert into violence. I really pray, if you're watching this and you're not Ugandan, pray for Uganda, because we have a very critical point in our lives. This is not just a battle of removing Museveni from that office. It is a clash of generations. It is a gap that has been ignored in terms of transitioning from one generation to another. If it is not handled the right way, because Uganda has never experienced a peaceful transition of power, and if it is not handled in the right way, I fear for the very worst. So please pray for Uganda. Thanks so much. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.